Hello there, NintendoGBR fans and followers alike. Hope you're all well. Welcome to another episode of Nintendo, My Life and I, with me, NintendoGBR. Coming up today, it's all about switching perspectives. We are going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch. I've been thinking and pondering about many different things, so I want to share it with you. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. So, hello one and all, thank you very much for joining me again on Nintendo, My Life and I. I am NintendoGBR. So, today we are going to be switching perspectives, and I think you probably know why. On Thursday 20th of October 2016, Nintendo unveiled its new console, the Nintendo Switch, which is basically a portable, powerful handheld console. And over the last couple of days, I've kind of been digesting all of the information and thinking about things and talking to other Nintendo enthusiasts, talking to friends about it and all that kind of stuff. And I had a number of things that were kind of buzzing around in my head. So I headed out yesterday to a bar and I had a few Guinnesses and I scribbled down a few things in my notepad. And without further ado, we are just going to crash straight into it. So I think a great place to start is the actual machine itself. So I've headed over to Nintendo's website and this is what they're telling us about their new console. In addition to providing single player and multiplayer thrills at home, the Nintendo Switch system also enables gamers to play the same title wherever, whenever and with whomever they choose. The mobility of a handheld is now added to the power of a home gaming system to enable unprecedented new video game play styles. At home, Nintendo Switch rests in a Nintendo Switch dock that connects the console to the TV and lets you play with family and friends in the comfort of your living room. By simply lifting the Nintendo Switch console from the dock, it will instantly transition to handheld mode, and the same great gaming experience that was being enjoyed at home now travels with you. The portability of Nintendo Switch is enhanced by its bright, high-definition display. It brings a full home gaming system experience with you to the park, on a train, in a car, or to a friend's apartment. Gaming springs into action by removing detachable Joy-Con controllers from either side of the Nintendo Switch console. One player can use a Joy-Con controller in each hand. Two players can each take one, or multiple Joy-Con controllers can be employed by numerous people for a variety of gameplay options. They can easily click back into place or be slipped into a Joy-Con grip accessory, mirroring a more traditional controller. Or, if preferred, the gamer can select an optional Nintendo Switch Pro controller to use instead of the Joy-Con controllers. Furthermore, it is possible for numerous people to bring their Nintendo Switch consoles together to enjoy local multiplayer face-to-face competition. Wow, that's a lot to get through. I'm not going to bore you by going through each bit by bit, because I just don't think it's necessary. But there are just a few things that I just wanted to grab and pull out, because I feel some people in the media haven't reported on certain aspects of this kind of press release. So it states, the portability of Nintendo Switch is enhanced by its bright, high-definition display. Now, that's a good thing to know. A bright, high-definition display. Whether or not it's going to be able to adjust to sunlight, say for example like an Apple phone does or a Samsung phone does, we don't know yet. But if it is bright, well, that's fantastic. We will be able to see the game. But whether or not sun hitting it or in certain light conditions is going to be a problem. But knowing that it is a high-definition display which is bright, is fantastic. And then also just bit of a tongue twister in there about the different kind of ways that you can use the Joy-Con controllers. There are almost a plethora of different ways in which you can interact with the Nintendo Switch, and I think that this is quite exciting, and I'm hoping that when we get a more in-depth look at the console, they will be able to explain this in a much more simpler way, because when you read through that and you hear somebody reading it, it does sound a little bit complicated, but I'm sure it's very, very simple. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, and that was simply about what the console can possibly do. Right, welcome back to Nintendo My Life and I with me, NintendoGBR. Today we are switching perspectives and discussing the Nintendo Switch. Well, I am, you're listening, you're thinking, yeah, something like that. So, as I said earlier, I've been pondering, thinking, and these are the things that I just want to talk to you about a little bit more. Now, firstly, when you watch the preview trailer, it's quite clear that Nintendo are trying to distance themselves from that child-friendly tech firm image. Now, Nintendo will always appeal to a younger demographic due to many of its well-known gaming characters, right? But it almost feels as if, Nintendo are trying to win back some of their original demographic. Those that are in, I suppose, their mid to late 30s. People like me. There's no sign of any children in the preview trailer, which hints to me that they're really trying to get that kind of adult market, I wouldn't say back, but they're really trying to, I suppose, enter into the adult market, saturate the market more. And I think those of us that grew up in the 1980s, late 1980s, early 1990s, believe Nintendo should have grown up with us, and therefore they should be fulfilling my adult video gaming needs. I would definitely like Nintendo to be more adult friendly, but at the same time, I'm still very happy to sit down and play the next Super Mario game, So it's a very fine line. Are Nintendo going after an older demographic, or are they simply coming back to people like myself that started playing on the original NES console in the late 1980s? So that's going to be quite interesting to see. Tell me what you think about that. Leave the comments below, and please let me know what you think. Okay, so the next thing, obviously, the graphics. Now, a lot of people hate on Nintendo because they don't have the most powerful console going. The thing is, Nintendo always used to compete on power right up really until the Nintendo GameCube. The Nintendo GameCube was a powerhouse of a console, and I just think Nintendo decided to take a particular line that was, look, we can make beautiful games, graphically fantastic, on lower end consoles. It's almost like a beautiful skill that lots of people can't do. For example, you remember Donkey Kong on the Super Nintendo when it first came out? People thought that was on the N64. When you look at Super Mario Galaxy, people were still shocked that that was running on the Wii, because some people couldn't get their head around such a beautiful idea had been, I suppose, put into action on a console that I wouldn't say couldn't handle it, but it was the concept of it and what it was doing with the graphics engine and all that kind of stuff. Nintendo have always produced beautiful looking games on lower end consoles. So with regards to graphics, I think that there are some people out there that would want Nintendo to have a console like the Xbox Scorpio or the PS4 Pro. But I think, unfortunately, right at this moment in their time, that's not what they're about. But I think things are starting to shift. Now, the Nintendo Switch is going to be using, I believe it's an NVIDIA Tegra chip. NVIDIA Tegra chip. Now, I've headed over to their website, and basically this is what they're telling us about the Nintendo Switch's guts, or at least the chip. A console architecture for the living room and beyond. Nintendo Switch is powered by the performance of the custom Tegra processor. The high-efficiency scalable processor includes an NVIDIA GPU based on the same architecture as the world's top-performing GeForce gaming graphics cards. The Nintendo Switch's gaming experience is also supported by fully custom software, including a revamped physics engine, new libraries, advanced game tools and libraries. NVIDIA additionally created new gaming APIs to fully harness this performance. The newest API, MVN, was built specifically to bring lightweight, fast gaming to the masses. Gameplay is further enhanced by hardware-accelerated video playback and custom software for audio effects and rendering. We've optimized a full suite of hardware and software for gaming and mobile use cases. This includes custom operating system integration with the GPU to increase both performance and efficiency. NVIDIA gaming technology is integrated into all aspects of the new Nintendo Switch home gaming system, which promises to deliver a great experience to gamers. So, I've done a little bit looking around on different websites because, I'm not particularly technically minded when it comes to kind of chips, processors and motherboards. But what I can kind of understand is that graphically it will be on par probably with an Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. Whether or not that would be top end of the Xbox 360, PS3, maybe the lower end of the Xbox One. But this is great. I mean, how can it not be great to have an actual portable games console that you can take out with you? I mean, I suppose if you had told me, let's say even 5 years ago, that you would be able to take out high-end quality gaming from consoles such as the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 with me, I don't think I would have believed them. So when you actually think about it, what Nintendo are doing, this is phenomenal. They're trying to make that gap. They're trying to bridge the gap. They're trying to say, listen, if you want to take your game out with you, you can do that now. And I think the more people actually understand what Nintendo are trying to do, I think that this console could be the first of many great things to come. So yeah, graphics are important, but at the same point, this is going to be portable. It's like taking a mini PlayStation 3 out of you that you can play in the park. How is that a bad thing? I think once people start realising that it's more of a handheld as opposed to a home console and what you're being able to do with this handheld device, once that drops into place with people, I think people are going to be like, damn. So yes, just carrying on with that theme, the way that I'm kind of taking all this information on board and kind of throwing it all out there is that don't think of this as a console. Don't think of it as a big kind of block of hardware that's going to be sitting underneath your television. Think of it as the first step in proper portable console gaming. Now, things will only get better from here in regards to true, portable, powerful gaming experiences. Nintendo are starting possibly a new trend here. Because once people are getting quality, portable, handheld games on par, as I say, with high-level consoles, people are going to want it more and more and more. I don't think this is going to go away. I mean, more often than not, Nintendo like to push the boundaries. They do, don't they? They like to try something new and innovate. Frustratingly, many of those in the media, and we know who you are, who don't like innovation, label these new ideas as gimmicks. And I hate the word gimmick. I like to think of these new concepts like this. A new way of exploring ideas which don't fit in conventionally. Now, Nintendo lead the way in trying new things, and I wouldn't want to stop them from doing this. In regards to innovation, Nintendo is in a field all of its own. When you consider how Nintendo led the way in controller innovation, the D-pad, shoulder buttons, 4 buttons on the pad, there was experimental 3D ideas which eventually led to the 3DS. Let's not mention the Virtual Boy. The Game & Watch, those of you that aren't familiar with that, they were a portable LCD video game system from the 1980s, which finally led to the first wave of portable gaming coming in the form of the Game Boy. And you think about how the Game Boy changed things. Portable games. It was amazing. And then you've got to remember motion controls with the Wii. Without all of these innovative approaches, where would the gaming world be today without Nintendo? Most of these innovations have led to market leaders copying Nintendo quite simply because they work. And this is genuine. I've played nearly every console, I've owned a host of different consoles, but since the launch of the PlayStation and the Xbox, the only real innovation, or the innovations that stick in my mind, and there are two, okay, for me, genuinely. Xbox Live, the way that system works, in my opinion, is fantastic. I think that was fantastic, and yes, you do have to pay for it, but the service that you get, in my opinion, is fantastic. So that was number one. Secondly, PlayStation VR. Now, it may not be the biggest thing and it may not take off, but it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. And I'm surprised that Nintendo didn't do that first. But other than PlayStation VR and Xbox Live, where are the other market leaders innovating? What are they doing? Where's all the excitement? There's none. And that's what Nintendo does so well. You know, they do it so well. And I think the Switch controllers are fantastic. I think once you get the concept of what they're going to be able to do, it's brilliant. But I do feel the message needs to be kind of conveyed to the public in a way that they understand it. They mustn't lose that message in translation. So, I'll be back just after this with one final thought. Okay, people, not much longer. You don't have to listen to me for that much longer. Although, if you are listening to me, I hope you are enjoying it. So please keep listening to me. So, one more thing I want to talk to you about is how will the Switch sell when it launches? When the Nintendo Switch is launched, how will it do? So I was just thinking about that. Thinking about this very question last night. And obviously, with the right software lineup at launch and with the same level of marketing they gave the Wii and the DS, which was phenomenal, by the way, because they used to be awful at advertising, I think the Switch will sell reasonably well. But then I started thinking about something else. There is one area in which I think the Switch will really succeed and sell itself, and that is in its portability. Now, you might think that's obvious, or maybe you haven't thought about that, but I can remember when I was at school, I was probably about 8 or 9, I think, and I remember that there was a kid in school, and he was sat on the bench at a break, and we all was out on the playground, and everyone was kind of gathering around him. What's this guy got? What's going on there? So he kind of ran over there, and he was sat on a bench, and there was this kind of grey thing in his hand, and he was like pressing buttons. What is this? And it was the original Game Boy. And literally, if you can remember this kind of stuff, people would start sitting either side of the guy or the girl with the Game Boy to be their friend, and they wanted to have a go on it because nobody had seen anything that was quite like it. It was like, oh my God, like, what is that? What is this thing? It's a Game Boy. And everybody would run home and say, Mum, I need this thing called the Game Boy, or whatever it was. And I think that it will sell relatively well at launch. But I really do believe that this is going to be very similar to the original Game Boy, where people will see other people playing it and say, what's that? What's that? And they go, oh, it's the Nintendo Switch. And they go, oh my God, I need to get one of those. And I think that is going to really grow their market because of the portability aspect of it. They're going to see these phenomenal graphics running on it, and people are going to be going, what is that? Oh, it's a Switch, I need one. And I think maybe give it a few years and people are just going to go, let me grab my Switch. It'll be called the Switch, and that'll be that. And just a little piece of fun here before I sign off. I sometimes like to think maybe years into the future. You know when you kind of see those retrospective programs and they tell you about years gone by and what had happened. And I was just kind of thinking about, I wonder what they will say about the Nintendo Switch in, say, 10 or 15 years' time. And I was thinking about things that were going on currently in the media. So, for example, there was Great Britain's exit from the European Union. It's a big switch there. Then you've got the Trump and Clinton campaign going on in the States. And there's going to be a switch in presidency. And I was thinking to myself, I can almost see it now. Like years gone, they could say, and in 2017, Nintendo launched the Nintendo Switch. And there was a great deal of switching going on at the time. So it's a bit of fun, but sometimes the concept and name fits in with the zeitgeist of the time. And I just wanted to throw that in there for a little bit of fun. Tell me what you think about that. But my throat's going, as you can hear. I'm getting quite croaky. So I'm going to sign off. I hope you've enjoyed the chat today, switching perspectives and looking at what Nintendo is going to offer us with the Nintendo Switch. I have been NintendoGBR. This has been Nintendo, My Life and I. Thank you very much for listening, and please leave me comments. Please tell me how I can improve, things you don't like, and I'll continue to try and do the best I can for you. Thanks very much for listening. See you later.